Hi, I am Fatima Marie P. Carsena.
My name is Jinver Trisha Bibontog.
I'm Juliana C. Abahay.
And I'm Janielle Aliganga.
We are Group 1. As a part of our activity, we'll be conducting interviews with individuals from different age group. A child 10 years old, a middle-aged adult 37 years old, and a senior citizen 65 years old. Through this, we aim to gather different perspectives of Philippine history and better understand how people from various generations view its importance.
The purpose of this interview is to know how people from different age groups understand and value history. By asking them the same questions, we want to compare their answers and see what makes their experiences and opinions different or similar. Through this, we can learn to appreciate history not just as a subject in school, but as something important in our culture and identity as Filipinos. And now, please watch our video to learn more about the meaning and importance of Philippine history through the eyes of a child, an adult, and an elderly.
So, sino pagtabot sa history? Mga pangitabo sa Sa Philippine history, sa may mas pinakaganahan ni mga nakatunan. Ano sila ang unang daw sa Pilipinas kay Pagyuman o Tabon man o mga ang sakop pa sa mga Espanyol. Kasi pagtudlo ang Philippine history sa sila, kanang i-discuss sa maestra o kipabasa mi sa libro. Nganong importante man nga makatunta sa Philippine history? Makibata unsa nagtabot sa una at tuod na ilang sa. Saan man pag-improve nga mas makatunta mo sa Philippine history? Kanang maminaw sa maestra ug tan-aw sa mga historical salida.
What is your understanding of history?
Is the study of past events that shape our society and influence who we are today. So it allows us to understand the struggles, the achievements, and sacrifices of people before us. And for me, history is not just about memorizing dates and names, but learning lessons from the past that can guide us in making wiser decisions in the present and future. It also is a way of connecting our roots and appreciating our identity as Filipinos.
What part of Philippine history do you find most interesting and why?
Political history very interesting because it shows how leadership, the governance, and decisions of leaders affect the lives of the Filipinos. For example, the events leading to independence, the challenges of colonization, and even modern political movements that help us to see the importance of unity and nation building. So personally, based on my profession, I also see how politics and leadership affects the public health, the education and the welfare of the people. So political history is very relevant to my profession.
Was Philippine history taught in school, and from where else do you learn about it?
My student life, history was taught in a school mainly by teachers using textbooks, encyclopedias, and classroom instructions. We also learned through visual aids like charts, some pictures that were shown, and some documentaries shown on TV, since at that time the internet was not yet very prominent. Outside school, we also learned more history through libraries, newspapers, and then later on watching historical films and reading online sources when internet became more accessible.
Is it important to study Philippine history?
For me, it is important to study Philippine history because it helps us to understand our identity as Filipinos. By knowing, of course, our struggles as colonization, revolutions, and the fight for independence, we become more aware of the value of freedom and, of course, democracy. For students, it develops patriotism and respect for the sacrifices of our heroes. And as a nurse, I believe that understanding history also makes us more compassionate and socially aware, since many health and social issues we face today are also connected to our history.
So how can we improve the learning and appreciation of Philippine history, especially among students?
By, of course, making it more engaging and relevant to the present. So instead of focusing only on memorization, teachers can use interactive methods like storytelling, educational games, documentaries, field trips perhaps to historical sites, and even technology such as online resources and virtual tours. It also helps us connect historical lessons to real life issues today, so students can see the history is not just about the past and still shaping our society.
What is your understanding of history? Story of what happened before. Nga pangitabo sa una, nga importante nga ato dapat mahimduman. But I learned about it from books before, but mostly sa radio o sa TV, kay mao man na ang among na-unfairly nga madunggan.
Okay, so ang next na question number is what part of the Philippine history do you find the most interesting and why?
Ito nagsugod ang simbahan ug ang mga eskwelahan. Diri sa Pilipinas, bisan lisod ang panahon sa una, makatabang pud sila sa edukasyon ug sa kultura.
Okay, so the third question is how was Philippine history taught in school and from where else did you learn about it?
The teacher explained to us, wala pa kaibig sa una, pero nakadungi sa radio, usahay sa mga usahay sa salida po, sa singing about sa kasaysayan.
So the fourth question is why is it important to study Philippine history?
It is important so we remember the sacrifices of our ancestors. Kung wala sila dili ta ingon ani karon, we can also learn from the mistakes in the past para dili na maksak.
Okay, so the last question is that how can we improve the learning and appreciation of Philippine history, especially among students?
For the young people today, mas maayo ipakita sa TV or sa internet ang mga istorya sa history. In a simple way, dili lang kung libro, maybe through stories, plays, or even movies para malingaw o sila masagdan nila ang mga importante gayud sa kasaysayan.
It is important to study Philippine history because it helps us to understand the struggles, sacrifices, and achievements of our ancestors. By learning about the past, we can avoid repeating the same mistakes and become more aware of the values of freedom and democracy. History also teaches us to respect our heroes and appreciate the identity we have as a Filipinos. Without remembering their sacrifices, we would not be where we are today.
From our interviews across 3 generations, one clear message stands out. Philippine history needs to be more engaging, relevant, and meaningful. The child shared that history is easier to appreciate through films and teacher guidance. The middle-aged respondents stressed the importance of interactive strategies like storytelling, games, documentaries, and even digital tools, combined with value formation. Meanwhile, the senior citizen highlighted simple but creative methods such as play, television, and movies to make history both fun and accessible. Together, these views remind us that history should not be limited to memorization, but should blend tradition and modern approaches so students can connect to the past, to the nation's present and future.
Based on the interviews, what I have learned that the teaching of Philippine history has evolved through different generations. For children today, learning is centered on teacher, discussion, and books. The middle-aged respondent recalled that 20 to 30 years ago is textbook, visual aids, televisions, libraries, newspaper, and eventually the internet were common sources. Meanwhile, the senior citizen shared that in earlier times, learning relied mainly on the books and teachers' instruction with limited access to radio or movies. This shows that although resources have changed with technology, teacher and books continue to serve as the primary foundation of history of education.
My understanding of history is that it is not just more than just the things that happened in the past, but it also tells how our society was formed, the struggle and sacrifices of the people before us, and the achievements that brought us to where we are today. For me, history is not only about memorizing names and dates, but also about learning lessons that can guide us in making better choices in the present and future. It also helps us connect to our roots and appreciate our identity as Filipinos.
From our interviews, we saw that people of different ages view history in their own way. A child sees it as things from the past, an adult sees it as lessons that shape society, and a senior sees it as stories that we must remember. They may focus on different parts, but all agree that history is important, whether to learn from mistakes, value freedom, or honor sacrifices. In the end, no matter our age, history connects us all.